Hello, everybody. Director of New Haven County Broadcasting Service joined with newly appointed Chief Justice of New Haven, Benjamin Axwell. Today, we are going to be asking about a few goals and accomplishments he plans on having within the state of Mayflower.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Benjamin Axwell, the newly appointed Chief Justice of the State of Mayflower Supreme Court within the state of Mayflower. For you, of course.
So, first off, I would like to ask, how has your time been in New Haven so far?
My day has been quite interesting, and as long as I've been here, especially within the city of Lander. However, I've had a decent experience within the county of New Haven so far.
That's very nice to hear. Now, if you don't mind me asking, what are your current goals to achieve while being Chief Justice inside of New Haven?
My goals are quite interesting. Some of the goals that I have as the first seated and newly appointed Chief Justice of the state of Mayflower is quite expansive. Some of these goals can include the expansion of the bar examination and the Bar Association to further help those interested in practicing law. Other goals I have as the Chief Justice is to expand the size of our currently set court system, including both the District and Supreme Court of the state of Mayflower. Inclusive to that, I plan on growing relationships with both the executive and the legislative branches of the state of Mayflower. These ideas and goals are to change subsequently as we achieve more and more, with both the help of the people and those in government.
That's very nice to hear, especially with the bar that could help with a lot of criminal cases. With all the crimes and shootings happening, how do you feel about law enforcement handling the whole situation?
Currently, I have a mixed opinion on that. I believe that the state is desperate for an operating Department of Justice. As per Article 6 of our state constitution, the Department of Justice oversees all law enforcement responsibilities. And with that, I believe that it is duly important that the central authority starts their work on setting up the elections for the Attorney General position within the state. That'll solve many problems, including ones that we have now and ones to come.
That's very nice to hear, and I'm glad that all the crime and everything is going to be helped with. And how do you feel about the newly added Port Authority?
I believe that the newly established Port Authority Police Department of Mayflower creates new doors and new responsibilities within the state of Mayflower for those interested in law enforcement jobs. With that, I also believe that it lacks supportive state laws that are required for basic functions. For example, for the various normal departments that we've had, such as not Palmer, that's another state, Plymouth Police Department and Lander Police Department and all the other ones, they have various state laws that help create their jurisdictions. And with that, I believe that the state needs, well, once the state legislature is established, that they need to make decisions on how to further establish the department with the state, as it isn't very inclusive and it isn't really granted permissions, which can cause problems in our future.
That is very nice to hear. Um, um, how do you feel about the corruption currently happening with the law enforcement, and how are you equipped to handle it?
Currently, I'm fairly disappointed with the amount of corruption within the various law enforcement agencies in Mayflower, its counties, and its municipalities. Law enforcement agencies are meant to work together to find solutions for how they can solve criminal cases and disputes. As to how I will handle it, there isn't much power granted to us to make solutions immediately. The only way to create solutions for the mass amount of corruption is the Department of Justice and the citizens to create court disputes which will allow the courts to make decisions within the future on how to handle corruption in the departments. It is also solely to the Department of Justice to create mandates that will assist with those corruption issues.
Very nice to hear. And last question I have for you tonight is what are you planning to do with the agonization between different agencies?
The best solution that we have currently for the aggravation and agonization for the agencies is to create better ideals of communication. But for the Department of Justice, once its pieces are put together, to enforce mandates that will create guidelines for each department. This will allow the state to enforce the integrity between departments. On my behalf of the courts, as the leader of the courts, I am not granted such permissions on how to deal with this, unless if it comes to the desk of the Supreme Court. This is another one of the reasons to answer one of the previously asked questions as to why the Department of Justice should be established.
And that's really all I have for you tonight. I hope to get to talk to you and possibly another interview as soon as possible. Have a good night, Benjamin, and I hope you being Chief Justice was a good decision, and everything I've heard tonight has been absolutely amazing, and thank you for your time.
Anytime.